The voice of sharing Durian ASEAN.
Hey, this is Arlene and you're listening to Durian ASEAN, the voice of discovery and sharing. Today's topic is a bit unique. It's something like durian as well. You can find it everywhere. But in Malaysia, it's a bit interesting because we are a multicultural society, very diverse. And throughout the years, there are fusion communities and there are communities who are, and also Malaysians that are biracial or a mix of different culture. And being a Rojak Malaysian, myself, and including our speaker today, I think we have a wider understanding of Malaysian culture. And I think maybe I'm a bit too much, but I think we feel more Malaysian. And today's speaker, which is Malizah Isa, she's a master's student with the Women's Institute of Management. She's also biracial. How are you?
Hi, good morning, Arlene.
Good morning.
I am Malay and Indian, but I think I'm not the only one when I say, there are a lot of people out there now in Malaysia who are more than just two races together.
Oh,
They're
yeah,
like
definitely.
Multiple races.
Thanks to Malaysia.
Thanks to Malaysia.
Malaysia, in the past, they used to call it the melting pot of Southeast Asia. This is the country where you can find Malay, Chinese, Indian, the Aborigines, and you can even find pockets of foreign communities from different area, like for example the Arab communities, the Siamese communities, and fusion communities like the Serani and Chetty, and that what makes Malaysia unique in a way compared to other Southeast Asian country. By the way,
so true.
Yeah, that's true. And by the way, I just want to introduce you another speaker, Azrul Khalib, our usual suspect here.
Yeah. Late as usual.
No worries. He's a social activist and a convener for Malaysia. And thanks to you, Azrul, today we are going to talk about multi-ethnic society in Malaysia. Just one question. So are you also mixed?
Well, there have been theories that my grandfather had something on the side with a Mongolian, and I came up with this. But,
it's not a conspiracy theory, right?
It's not a conspiracy theory, but I do look very much on the Chinese plus Malaysian side.
Yeah, your eyes is like very much Chinese.
You have no idea how many makciks and aunties who come up to me and try to speak either Javanese or Mandarin with me. It's just unbelievable. So I've actually tried to learn some Mandarin myself.
So you can embrace your culture, I guess, in a way.
Sure, not the aunties.
God.
But the young
Quite a few.
Amoy is all coming, it seems.
So let's talk about our own background. For me, myself, I'm also quite complex. I'm a mix between Malay from Sumatra, Chinese from the southern part of China, and also Serani, which is a fusion community in Malaysia. The Serani part is a mix between Persian, Ceylonese, and of course Portuguese. So when I grew up, I never thought I'm different from others, but the way others perceive me, like they can't really box me well into whatever category.
Yeah, which box do you tick? Right. When you're filling all those forms.
She's definitely others.
That's interesting because according to the Malaysian constitution, if you have even just 1% of your blood Malay, you are Malay.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
There you go.
Apparently so. So in the constitution, if you are born in a family where a part of it is Malay, so you are considered part of Malay, especially if you are a Muslim, then you are definitely a Malay. And when I grew up, I was actually quite confused with my own cultural identity, but more so with my younger brother. I still remember at one point, you have to, at one point, I think between Form 3 or Form 4, you have to, if you want to go to matriculation, you have to fill out a form.
Yeah.
And they have quota. I didn't know they have quota for the Malays and the non-Malays. So my brother, being the smart ass that he is, he filled up his race as Dan Lain Lain.
Oh my God.
And
Oh,
he
good.
actually did very well in his PMR at that time. But because he put his race as Dan Lain Lain, he didn't get a call back. While his friends who didn't do quite well compared to him, because he was of the right race and he ticked the right boxes at the right box, he ended up being accepted into the matriculation.
Consider it a blessing. What did he study after that?
Well, he continued high school.
Oh,
in the normal high school.
And then after that, where did he go to college?
Well, he took his STPM, but then he realized he's more into the business. He has the more
Business line, lah.
Yeah, he's more into the business line. So.
But can I ask you, right? I mean, a lot of Malaysians who are of mixed ethnicity actually experience this moment where their mom is Chinese and then the father's Malay, or their father's Chinese and mother's Serani, for example. And then when you come to these Jabatan Pendaftaran forms and all these other official forms that you actually have to fill in and somehow or another decide exactly what you're supposed to be. Because what happens here is that sometimes this choice can actually determine events in the future. So like your brother, right? He thunder there. He ticks the box. Dan Lain Lain. I don't know what he filled in the Dan Lain Lain. Or was there even a space there? Or is it just Malay, Chinese, Indian, and then Dan Lain Lain with no explanation there? But you yourself, what do you tick?
I didn't.
Arlene?
Because when I grew up, I didn't really. We were from the Chinese school. I didn't really believe in matriculation and all that, and I don't like living in a dorm with a bunch of strangers. So I didn't really apply with all those application. But I still remember in university, I did the smartest thing ever by taking my race as Malay, sorry, and I think because of that, I have a larger opportunity to enter university compared to my peers who are non-Malays, and they don't have the privilege to tick the box Malay compared to me because I'm mixed, and it made me feel bad in a way because, not in any way that my socio-economic condition is any different for them. I mean, perhaps in the past during the 70s, you might be able to give privilege to a certain race or a certain community because of their socio-economic condition. But when everyone is equal as in their background, there should be no reason for them to have more privilege than the others.
Just because of what you're born as, right? And I think this is also the future of Malaysia that we keep talking about. I think even in the Prime Minister's own speech on the eve of Merdeka just recently, I think clearly indicates the need and the vision for a Malaysia where ethnicity is no longer one of the primary things that you look at in a person, that you look at based on merit. So if it's talking about admittance into university, it's going to be based on who does well in secondary school and, the qualifications of results and everything, not whether you belong to a particular ethnicity, Malay, Chinese, Indian, or and if we're talking about affirmative action, because I think what you described earlier
is affirmative action.
Yeah, concerning
and
entry to university.
I do believe
action,
in
right?
The thing is, I do believe in affirmative actions, especially when you understand the complexity of different society. The reality is they are society that have more opportunity compared to other society, and yes, the government needs to create that, and the best way, of course, to give more leverage or opportunity to others. But it seems like when it comes to affirmative action, it should have a certain time frame, and it should be well monitored and always being.
So after a certain period, the affirmative action policy is no longer necessary. Yeah. But having said that, though, having said what we just said earlier, I think it's important for us to stress here that, for those of lower income, disadvantaged groups belonging to, those living in poverty and those living low-income households, I think affirmative action programs still is very much needed for that. In fact, that's who those programs should benefit. Not just because you have a bin or binti at the back of your name qualifies you for some sort of advantage over everybody else. It shouldn't
And
be
the
that.
sad part is, if you really look at the socio-economic background of those who were being accepted in matriculation, this has not been confirmed in terms of statistic, but it has been in terms of the word of account by peers of mine. They said that majority of them who got the privilege of scholarships and the privilege to enter these elite matriculations were from the middle class and upper middle class instead of the poor Malays. So when you look at the larger picture, is it really an affirmative action, or is it an easy staircase for the more privileged Malays to rise up to the ranks?
Well, it's been a long-standing issue. A lot of these programs aim to be fair, but at the end of the day, because there is already a weighted consideration in this case ethnicity, I think it provides an unfair advantage for other people. But having said that, though, again, let's just go back to what we're talking about today, which is multi-ethnicity. Again, we fall into this box. In this our conversation here, suddenly thinking Malay, Chinese, Indian, and I think we shouldn't be so focused on that anymore. I think in order for us to move forward, we ourselves have to, in our minds, move forward and argue for that change. When I look at Malizah, what are you?
What are you?
Campur apa?
Oh, it's just mother and father, like the Malays always go and say it.
Yeah, but you're Malay and
Indian.
Malay and Indian.
and who's the Indian?
The thing about me is I'm like, everybody thinks I'm mama when I'm not. Honestly, mama is a
What
totally
is mama,
different
actually,
thing.
I always assume mama
What
is
is mama?
Indian
Just
Muslim.
because I'm Indian and Malay, two parents who are different ethnicities coming together, I'm mama, And that's like a given. I'm like, okay, I've given up arguing this
but
case.
What's a mama?
A mama is a person who comes from Penang usually.
Okay.
No, I'm just-
Well, if you want
Penang.
to talk historically,
Yeah.
they are Muslim Indian communities in India that migrated to Malaya for better opportunities, obviously, and most of them were concentrated in Penang and are still there, and a lot of them have similar culture. If you want to talk about the Malaysian nice mama, similar culture to Malays and also Indian, and because of that, maybe that's the reason why they assume those who are mixed between Indian and Malay as mama, in a way.
But
It's a very bad stereotype, but yeah.
well,
is it a stereotype? Is it a bad thing to be a mama? No, right? It's not.
Well, apparently after the former prime minister,
and let's look at it this way, okay? The fourth prime
Did you
minister
just
of
say
this
that?
country, the fourth prime minister of this country,
yeah.
is a person of mixed heritage. Is a person who is mix of Malay and an Indian from Chennai, I think.
Yes, but the important thing is, was the Indian or was it like
Does it
Christian
even matter?
Indian? No, was it
Does
a
it even
Pariah
matter?
Indian ancestor or was it a Brahmin Indian ancestor? Because that
I don't
difference
know,
makes a
honestly.
difference.
I'll ask him when I see it. But
Or was it a Muslim ancestor Indian?
Definitely not Muslim ancestry Indian.
Yeah.
Definitely not so, I think. But I think I mean, the thing is, majority of our prime ministers, or not, if not all, were of mixed racial background,
right.
including Badawi with Chinese ancestry.
He's half mama lah, 3/4 lah.
Badawi.
do they give membership cards for people of different ethnicities? But honestly, this is where I think when we look at the United States and they have Obama up there, and people say, "Oh my God, it's the first African American
But actually, it's not
president."
true. He's
and
a
everything.
mix. He's biracial.
Well,
isn't
he's multi actually. Got Kenyan lah, got different things. But my point is, when we look back in Malaysia, we've been doing this thing about being multi-ethnic for years. Our leaders, the Prime Minister, is multi-ethnic. So my point I'm trying to get across here is that why are we so hung up today thinking that everybody needs to be in boxes? You know, have to be pure Malay. What on earth is pure Malay anyway? Have to be pure Chinese or pure... I mean, you two ladies, you know, I mean, both of you are multi-ethnic. Your dad and your moms are from different ethnicities. And you're quarter or something.
A quarter of a lot of things.
Quarter of a lot of things.
And it's funny when you mention about pure Malay, because I want to ask them what is pure Malay?
Yeah, Azrul, you don't look pure Malay. You look Chinese Malay, man.
I'm no job, man. I don't know where.
And the funny thing is, if I were to go back to my Malay ancestry, which is from Sumatra, Javanese. That's an interesting part, because in Sumatra, Malay is an ethnicity, as in like they are a group of people. They are called Malay, and they are Malay Riau, and they are Malay Delhi. And my grandfather's side, he's Malay Delhi. So if I were to say, am I pure Malay? Yes, a quarter of me is pure Malay, because it's Melayu Delhi. It's not like Javanese or Minangkabau or whatever you call it.
Dude, you're Indon, way. Oh my God.
Indo. No, but it goes to show. So the crazy thing about it is you have 25% of this, 25% of this, 25% of this, 25% of this, and then suddenly when you're filling in those forms, Melayu.
Yeah.
Exactly.
How did that come about?
How did that come about?
Yeah, seriously.
And the worst thing is when the use of race to justify opportunities. I think it is somehow one of the reason why there's this huge tension between different pockets of races in this country. And me being a mixed race, I early on in my life, I was exposed with different culture and races, and I can understand some of them have grudges towards the other races. Other is stereotypes, or is true, or is because of the government and they put the blame on the particular race. And I feel it's, in a way, there's a reason for that, and the reason is because they don't feel like they have an equal level playing field, even though maybe some of them are perceived to be more privileged than the others.
But you know, the thing is that at the end of the day, we need to let go of these these privileges, advantages, and that's what they are. They're not rights. They're not guaranteed under the Constitution, much like a lot of people want to say. These are privileges and advantages. And I don't know, Arlene, or Malizah, have you taken advantage of your Bumiputra discount for buying
Are you kidding me?
properties? You already use how many percent? 10?
Let's ask Malizah first.
You got property, right?
Hey, this is a private question.
Yeah, but this is where it gets crazy, you see? Because at the end of the day, you have people who are looking towards buying multi-million homes, 2 million, 1 million something homes, and then they ask for discount. I'm like, hey, if anybody who needs a discount, it's the people who are trying to buy their first home, low-cost housing, and people living in PPR, for example. I mean, these are the people who a little bit will help. A little bit saved today will help them tomorrow. But if you're buying like 2 million ringgit homes, 3 million homes, tak payah discount lah. Pergi beli lah, know.
And I have to let you know that I never take advantage of that status other than probably via education.
Are you sure, Arlene?
Only through
via education?
Yeah, only through education. When you fill in the form, I think when you take Malay, automatically you have better privilege, whether in exams or in admission to university and all that.
Oh my God, no wonder Yen Lui got lower than me the other day. I mean, I remember there was this one time when I was studying and it was a final exam. This Chinese girl, my best friend, my partner in crime, we used to compete with each other like crazy, but we love each other now. Yen Lui, if you're listening, this is the story, remember or not? We went to get our results one day, our final results for the exam. And she was wondering, oh my God, why did I get lower than you? I worked just as hard. And trust me, she is quite the OCD, I mean, come on, she's Chinese. The Chinese work hard, okay? I'm a lazy Malay fuck. But anyway, can I say that on radio? Oh my God, it's online, right? Okay, so it's okay. It's like YouTube. Okay, anyway. So Yen Lui gets lower than me and she's wondering, what the hell? What is going on? Why did Malizah get higher than me? So I'm thinking, something's wrong here. Either I'm really good at what I do, or there's something going on in the system. So back, Arlene, sorry, I just had to say that.
Well, I don't know, but I hope it's not the system.
Like
We will
teachers,
never know.
what are they
No, but-
doing? And the
but
teacher was
I think
Malay
Malizah
too.
said a really interesting point just now.
Really?
You said the Chinese, they work hard. And this is the thing. First of all, it's a stereotype.
Right, the
But-
Malays, they don't work shit, man.
No,
Azrul.
no.
Like, you one lazy
that's a
fuck, man.
stereotype. That's
Yeah.
stereotype. No, that's a
How
stereotype.
long?
But the thing is here is that there's a stereotype that thinks that Chinese or minority communities are rajin, are hardworking, and the reality is true. Is that if you're working from a disadvantaged position where it's not a level playing field, you work doubly hard. You try to make it work in a system that provides you a disadvantage. So what Dr. Mahathir himself said, just when he was about to pension, retire, not too long ago, is that at the end of the day, these privileges, advantages are crutches on the Malay community's psyche, as well as, you don't want to be known as the community that only succeeded just because you had unfair privileges and advantages. You want to be able to succeed like Tony Fernandes, worked up from RM1 airline all the way up to the success story is it today on his own merits. That is the success story that we want, not because you got a leg up because of some privilege or advantage. So
Or the connection that you
or
have.
the connection that you have. We love the cable, you kenal siapa and everything. So we don't want that.
Datuk mana?
Datuk mana Tan Sri. Sekarang ni Datuk tak main lah. It's got to be
It's
Tan
up the
Sri,
scale now.
up the scale. So that's why we need to start thinking also. And again, let's move on to much more multi-ethnic society where we don't put people in boxes. We think ourselves as Malaysians.
And we'll take a short break.
Yeah.
The voice of sharing. Durian ASEAN.
Hey, this is Arlene. We are back again with our two very outspoken and also lively speakers, Azrul, Khalib, and also Malizah Issa. So we have an off-air discussion about how to move on, and we all know the current situation is everyone feel like they have less opportunity and less equal level playing field, and that is also the reason why usually the race particular race will stereotype against another race and having assumption that they are more privileged than us. That's the reason why we have to work harder, and we should have more advantage than them, and we are better than them, and that also creates silos among racial groups, meaning that I just want to help my own race because I know they have privilege, and the ones that have privilege will think that we need to continue help our own race, because if not, then we will be left out and the other race will work harder and prosper. Like there's these stereotypes going on among all racial groups, and because of that, how can we move on to another level where everyone see everyone else as Malaysian, and Malaysians have to help other Malaysians regardless of race and religion? How to move beyond that?
Honestly, this is one of those questions that I think we've been grappling with, for the past 3 decades. I think ever since the horrible events of �69 and what we have today, we still are trying to figure out identity of Bangsa Malaysia, and to not consider community or ethnicity first, but to think for the benefit of the country as a whole, as ourselves. And it's an ongoing process to find this answer to this question. I think for a lot of people, in fact, they already live the future. They already
And
are.
how is that so?
Well, for one thing, for example, they work in maybe private sector, or they leave the country in search of opportunities where, at the end of the day, what you are is less important as to what you can do.
And in fact, it's funny. people feel more Malaysian when they are overseas
Exactly.
rather than in Malaysia. I
Yeah.
still remember we had this. I used to work in a think tank, and we had this major conference in Australia, and we had a few volunteers. Some of them are Malaysian students and some of them are foreign students. And you would expect, students being students, they would be the same. But apparently, the Malaysian students, even though some of them were Chinese, but they seem to not be able to mix well with the Australian Chinese student. To them, it's like a totally different culture. They say that I actually, even though I'm Chinese, but I feel more closer to my Malay student friend, Malaysian student friend, rather than the Chinese Australian student. And that's because I feel more Malaysian.
Yeah. That's the thing that's weird, about going abroad. And I think all three of us have been abroad or lived at one point of time. Is that masa you pergi luar negeri ni, you nampak just some person who nampak a little bit like, Malaysian Chinese or Malaysian Malay. You'll say things like, "Hey, orang Malaysia, apa khabar? Tengok." You don't even know the person from Adam. Okay. You accost somebody walking on the street just because the person wears a tudung maybe, or looks a little bit like, Akyong or Richard, who you used to, makan nasi lemak with, whoever. But the fact of the matter is precisely that, is that we feel much more stronger relationship with our identity with the country when we're abroad. And why is that? Why is it that we need to go out of the country before we feel Malaysian? And I think when it comes down to it, we need to be brave in our country, our own self, to make the changes, to start with our own selves over the breakfast table or dinner table, to educate our kids and ourselves.
And our parents.
And
Our parents, and grandparents.
What about your experience, Malizah? Like growing up mixed race, and you having this conflicting identity, whether I'm Malay or whether I'm Indian. Should I support the Indian when they push? I mean, they voice out their grudges against the Malay, or should I more align myself with the Malays when they say
MIC or UMNO?
It's no wonder that I have a split personality, multiple personality disorder. No, it's just, with the Malays, I'm like, "Hey, yo, brother, what's up?" No, I don't say the what's up. That's if they're like modern Malays, right? But if with the Malays, my family on the Malay side in Terengganu, where they're, where they can't get any Malay than that, lah, tudung labu and everything. I love these people, by the way. They're my family. I'm trying so hard to fit in. Sometimes brought up in KL, right? You're socialized in a way that you are able to speak to everybody. Coming from, I've got the best of both worlds, you could say. So the Malay side of me will adapt and how do you say, accommodate to the Malay community, and the Indians, I will connect with them the way I connect with my mother, basically.
But how can people make changes when they are brought up and raised in an environment that is mono-racial? Like you shared the story of the taxi driver.
Yeah, so, this guy went on this racist rant this morning while I was coming here to the studio.
A good workout for you.
Yeah, Sindir and Bahat. It's very ironic because I'm coming to the show, right? This guy's going, that he's banging on this particular ethnicity, and then I realize he's a Perkasa Ketua Cawangan, It's like, okay, but therein lies the problem, that at the end of the day, the hope for a change doesn't lie with, unfortunately, our older citizens or our elders. They carry huge baggage. They carry baggage from the 60s, imagined and real insults, perceived injustices and real injustices, and they carry that on, and they can't let go. But when you consider the young people today, I think those who are below 30, I think there's real hope for a new country, a new people, that you don't look at, I'm only going to take on this issue because it's Indian, because I'm Indian and I'm going to fight it because, or same thing for the Chinese. I think.
But I have a mixed feeling about that the younger generation will eventually normalizes the situation, especially the racial polarization that we have right now. One of the reason is I posted something about Israel being the trade partner, the 24th most important trade partner of Malaysia, and this is not my words. This is a report done by the EU on the trades in Malaysia, and I posted that in the Malay language, and in Facebook my name sounds Chinese because apparently I don't know why when I tried to add the Malay word to my name. The
Rejection.
The Facebook rejected it as if it's a false.
Rejected by Facebook. I don't know what to say lah. Ultimate man.
As if it's a false identity, so I have to bear with that particular name.
Yeah.
So there's this one young Malay guy, probably he's in his early 20s or late or in maybe 18 or 19-year-old guy. He said that, hey, you don't know the situation about the Malays, don't comment about this. You know, the Chinese with their dongjong, you know, with their all this with their Chinese school and all that, and he go on this rant about, you know, the Chinese and the Indians.
I have to say this, Arlene. Ignorance and bigotry is damn ugly. And this is what happened, is that somebody who's so wrapped up in identities being dependent on names, for example, or religion dependent on names, you end up with that kind of perception. It doesn't matter whether you're older or younger. Bigotry, ignorance, it manifests itself. The reason why I say that young people can change the face of the country is because they are able to adapt, take stock, and change.
Mm-hmm.
Older people are a little bit harder because they're set, you know. But not to say that everybody's going to be enlightened overnight. It's not. You know, people are going to need time to work their way through issues because there's a lot of plaque, you know, that has been built up. So it's going to take time.
The problem with the younger generation is they can easily accept the views of those who are extremists, and that is manifested with many of the a number of the younger Malays are actually serving the ISIS.
Yeah. No, because it's easy.
Did you say younger Malays are serving ISIS?
Yeah.
That ISIS in Iraq?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Are they out of their brains?
They are. Apparently
These
they are.
people being killed.
It's like almost
And
100.
in fact,
now.
it is reported even the women are there as a sex slave. The
Sexual
Malay
jihad.
woman.
Yeah.
Sex jihad.
Yeah.
Sexual jihad.
Okay, this is news to me.
Yeah. No, but it goes back to this point really.
Mm-hmm.
Is that at the end of the day, the reality is that it's easy to hate. It's easy to cast blame onto somebody else for something that you perceive to be an insult or slight or an advantage that you think you have.
Well, you can't blame
Because-
people for having their own opinions. I mean, everybody is given the right to, you know, you have your own opinions, you live your life the way you want to, you pay for your own bread, that sort of thing. I understand.
Yeah, that's
But
why
at the
it's
same-
easy.
And if this woman wants to go and do sex jihad, by all means, that's her life purpose, lah. You know, I mean, I'm not here to stop her or anything, but
Got to get the minister to hear this one.
But you know, really at the end of the day, it's about really, do you want to live a happy life? Do you want to have peace or not?
But
In
the-
your
the
own
gov-
family, there are bigots.
But the
for God's
the
sake.
government definition
My-
of peace
yeah.
is you serve your own race.
Yeah.
It has been there since the 1950s, and
Right.
and only in urban areas where people actually mingle around. And unfortunately, the May 13 happened in
Yeah.
urban areas in KL.
Yeah.
My dad was all the way in Kedah, and he was a Chinese. He was playing with his Malay friends, and they were like, the next day they heard, oh, there was
What's
a
going on?
riot
Yeah.
Oh
in
my
KL. I
God.
didn't know about it.
And you know, it still is a reality today. The ones who are polarizing this country, to some extent, are not really those who are living in rural areas or in areas which basically, you know, your local Tesco, the version of Tesco in a kampung is Ahtam's Kedai Runcit just down the street. You're going to get everything there, you know. And you're the one who provides services or actually provides rubber tapping or, you know, whatever it is. It's going to be some Malay or Indian person. You all live in harmony, you know. In rural areas, you find there being no issue. But in urban areas, where you go back to the issue of economic disparity, where you perceive that the other person has more because I am not able to get an advantage as much as that person, therefore you have this gap. You have tensions. You have people who are upset, who are pissed off,
Yeah.
And because of that, we need to address fundamental issues. You cannot play the racial card. At the end of the day, it's going to be really confusing when everybody marries each other. And then suddenly you find it's going to be hard discriminating against each other's family.
Being biracial, it is not easy, especially when you are being faced with question of conversion and what kind of religion you should raise your child, what kind of environment or cultural environment you should raise your child. It is not easy. I mean, especially growing up as a biracial kid. I still remember, like, every time the teacher tried to mention my name, they always have to define, she's 50-50. Like, it's not even true. I mean, I'm not even 50-50.
I'm 25, goddammit. 25. Can't you get that straight, lah? Yeah. Hey, but okay. Serious stuff aside, lah. Can I just ask you, quick roll call, lah? How many languages do you speak, lah?
Well, I can speak Malay, Chinese, and English.
Malay, Chinese.
Chinese as in Mandarin, lah.
Mandarin, and that is because of my education. But when it comes to my dad, he went to Sekolah Sultan Abdul Hamid, which is the school that Mahathir went apparently.
In Al-Star.
Yeah, in Qasim Ahmad as well. And he couldn't speak Mandarin, but he was proud of his school partly because he was one of the multiracial school in
Your
Kedah.
father was a banana.
Apparently so.
Oh my god.
Today, yeah.
But he can speak very fluent Hokkien.
Oh, so it's not a banana lah. I
Yeah.
say,
How
no
about you,
lah.
Malizah? How many languages?
Oh, I'm a mangosteen. I can't
Mangosteen,
speak
what's it?
Tamil to save my life.
What's a mangosteen?
Oh, black on the outside, white on the
Oh,
inside.
seriously? I've never
Come on,
heard
that's
that.
so cliche.
I only heard about coconut.
Coconut hairy and brown on the outside and white on the inside.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, that's
serious?
me.
Oh.
Yeah, mangosteen and
Oh
coconut.
my god.
Well, mangosteen is more smooth, right? Yeah. I'm
know-
mangosteen. I'm not that hairy. I'm sorry to say. Don't be jealous.
You have the Malay skin there.
I do.
There's going to be a posting today on the Malaysians for Malaysia Facebook page where we're going to ask Malaysians to list out how many languages do you know of that's spoken in this country.
Okay, I tell you, my mother grew up speaking Cantonese. She had a nanny,
Seriously?
a Chinese lady who could not speak English or Malay, who could only communicate in Cantonese. And now today, my mother, because as she was growing up, she was brought up by this Cantonese speaking lady, and then she eventually started speaking Cantonese with her friends, and now she's, ordering Cantonese food and at the restaurants. We don't have this issue about going to Cantonese restaurants or Chinese restaurants. We eat food, Malaysian food, and appreciate it. This.
Somehow the issue of halal also has divided society.
Yeah.
In the past, my Malay friends would never ask, is this halal or not? I mean, they know that as long as it's not pork or there's no obvious appearances of pork, then it's okay. But nowadays, even the idea of going into a Chinese shop, drinking tea or coffee is something that is like, oh, sorry, I can't do it.
Even tea or coffee.
Yeah.
And this is the thing, over the weekend, Malaysians from Malaysia went to Bangsa Village, the elitist enclave of the country, and we spoke to Malaysians who were shopping there and wanting to know what is it that makes you Malaysian and what do you think is being Malaysian. And you know what they said? I think the majority of them said food. Makan, it's like perut ni halal. Everything they could think of was basically linked to food somehow. And I think Malizah made an interesting point there concerning the fact that, you have Cantonese, you have different kinds of food. And honestly, can you go to any other country and you can get basically almost every part of Asia in a single dish or in a single restaurant or in a place like Kuala Lumpur or any other part in Penang,
And only in Malaysia you can get nasi lemak and nasi goreng USA as well as nasi goreng China.
Yeah.
And nasi goreng kampung.
And guess what? I just found out. I think Malizah told me roti canai doesn't exist in India.
Oh, that's prata, right? In India?
Yeah, they have prata, but
Canai, the roti canai
the
that we
roti
have
canai,
in KL.
the tibai stuff, apparently it doesn't exist.
Yeah,
in
and apparently, when I was in Myanmar trying out the roti, their version of roti canai, which they call it plata, they use a different kind of oil, and they don't do the Chennai way that we
the flip acrobatics and everything, right?
They don't do it that way.
Well,
They just just smoothen out it, flatten the
very
dough out,
civilized, calm.
and then cook it on peanut oil, which tasted horrible. But one of the reasons why roti China is awesome is because they use plantain.
It's
not
essentially
exactly
a
healthy
Malaysian
lah.
dish, isn't it?
Yeah, but get that, consider the fact that you can go so many places here. You can have Portuguese grilled fish, you can have things like rojak. You can have, you go to Penang, and honestly, the kinds of food, it's like an overdose when you go to Penang. Everybody has a problem, right? And the thing is that this is the best thing about this country, that is multi-ethnic. And I have to go back to that issue, is that when you look at the food, we are not sitting in boxes. We are living it together.
Yeah, like you don't say like, oh, it's Indian food. Sorry, I don't mix
Yeah,
with
you
Indian.
don't.
You don't say it like, you don't say it that way.
One of my favorite food is, unfortunately, dim sum.
Bak kut teh.
Yeah, no, dim sum.
Don't bluff.
Dim
You
sum.
like bak kut teh.
No, I love dim sum.
Which dim sum? The Chinese Eastern Oriental dim sum or the
different,
Malay dim sum? Which one? Which one you like?
Chinese
Pasal
one
tak?
lah.
Oh.
Over at Maju Junction there, very nice. So,
Sanai ho sick.
yeah, but that's the thing, about a country like Malaysia, which a lot of tourists come to enjoy, is the multi-ethnicity.
Hold on, Arlene, you can speak Cantonese.
I can listen to, but not fluent. I
Say,
will mix it.
what's my name in Hokkien, you can say.
In Hokkien.
Yeah. Because your father taught you, maybe.
我北好講，我唔知。I don't know.
Yeah, okay.
She looks pretty cute talking Cantonese.
Yeah, I'm not sure what
Hokkien.
you can. But that's the thing, I think.
Can you imagine,
when you
Azrul?
consider-
Can you imagine Arlene walking down the street talking in Hokkien one side and then talking in Malay one side?
Well, actually, it does happen very often.
Yeah.
On this street, you have like people who go to Chinese schools, right? And then they're carrying 3 conversations maybe in 3 different languages.
Oh.
This is a country where you can have in one sentence 3 different words in 3 different languages and be understood.
You never know. For example, I have a friend in Terengganu. They call their kopi o as teh openg, and teh openg obviously is a Chinese word,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But consider this sentence, for example. Macha, you nak makan sini atau nak tapau?
That's good.
Totally natural, right?
It is.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we are at the end of the session today.
Oh, okay.
But
Oh.
before we end today's session, I know it's really
Yeah, it's fun.
we are just starting out actually. Before we end this, I want to ask you, what is your ideal Malaysia, if there is one?
Well, I think in terms of ideal Malaysia, it's really going back to basics, going back to fundamentals. I think the food, we can all start there and then work our way up. But basically, it is basically to look beyond our Malay, Chinese, Indians, and dan lain identity, and to just think ourselves as Malaysian.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, just forgot to mention, it's actually Malizah's birthday today, so
Oh, happy birthday!
don't forget to wish her happy birthday. But
Thanks.
but yeah, so I think
Thanks,
you
Azrul.
two, especially Arlene and Malizah, when I look at you, I see Malaysians, because you're multi-ethnic.
Yeah, Azrul,
You
you're
don't
not
think
Malaysian,
about-
man.
And I feel marginalized, so okay, I'm going to stop here now. Okay.
And you, what's your wish for an ideal Malaysia?
I think I'm living my ideal Malaysia right now.
Mm.
I'm not afraid to say it. I'm having my birthday party with my Sikh family. I started this yoga, Kundalini yoga, and it taught me a lot about the Sikh religion. I'm Muslim, as you know, and this situation might scare a lot of Muslims because they will think, oh, she's going and doing this and she's doing all these things that are not allowed in our religion. But I'm pretty confident in the Muslim that I am. I mean, I know my own values, my Muslim values. I'm a true Muslim girl, lah, okay? So I do this yoga and I learn about my Sikh brothers and sisters. And I see the way they do things. And what happens is, at the end of it, today I'm celebrating my birthday with them at the yoga Chayo Cafe, the studio. There's lovely vegetarian food.
Are you inviting all the...
I'm inviting everybody to go to Chayo Studio today, Kelana Jaya,
What time?
opposite. 12:30 to 2:30. Come and have lovely vegetarian buffet fare. And tonight I'm going to spend it with my parents.
Okay, that's cool. So that's all from us today. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thanks, Arlene.
Thanks.